Hello and welcome to another Mr. Beautify video, and this video is a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a Sanyo Betamax. It's the VTC-M10 Betacord, PAL only of course, and this is the basic front-loading machine from Sanyo. They made a whole range of M series machines that had various different facilities like remote control and hi-fi stereo, and but this is just the basic model. Now, I have probably only ever repaired one of these ever, and I really never saw these machines. They were really very rare where I was working, so yeah, it was great to have the opportunity to buy this. This has actually come from a TV repair shop clearance, basically. The person I bought it from was sort of consolidating, going through all the kits and binning anything that was no good and selling anything that might have some use. So thank you very much, George, for that. And really great. I'm really so happy to have finally landed one of these units. It looks pretty tidy. I'm suspecting the front door is probably bad. Let's have a look at that, actually. Yeah, the hinges are fragile on these things, very fragile. So, yeah, they're broken. So the tabs are broken off the ends here. You can see where the plastic is white from where they've broken off. Should be able to do something with that, just to get that working as it should. But that could be the least of my worries, because it seems that where all the kit was stored, there's been a water breach. Basically, rainwater's been getting in. And although it's not been directly wet, it has been in a damp atmosphere for a number of years. Now, I have already had a look at it, just because I was intrigued, really, and the top cover is loose as a result. There's no bottom cover on it at the moment, but there's quite a bit of surface rust on that. The Sanyo machines, the base metal especially seems to rust quite easily. Even my 5150 that's been dry stored, there is a lot of surface rust on the base metal cover, and I just think it's just not that well galvanized. So yeah, it's fairly thin metal as well. It's not like Sony's that, you know, it's used a thicker grade of steel. Just to clarify, this video will not be knocking Sanyos. I know I do a lot of Sony stuff. I do love the Sony stuff, but I also love the Sanyo stuff. It's a completely different sort of idea in delivering the Betamax format to consumers. It's ease of use, cheap, generally pretty reliable. It does have an SDK chip for the power supply, which does cause problems. I remember on the 5000 changing quite a few of those, actually. And power supply caps, I think, can also be a problem, but there aren't that many in these, so quite honestly, I'm just going to change them, even if they don't need it. I'm just going to change them. It just makes sense. I think it's about four or five, so we'll do that. I have got a belt kit as well. I ordered from Australia, and they took about a month to get here. But they arrived the other day, hence why I've been hanging on to making this video. So yeah, it's sort of been it's something I've been dying to do, but it's just like, well, it's pointless doing it until I have the belt kit and the idler tires as well. So with that, without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is give it a bit of a clean, just clean up this mess because it's annoying me. And there's no mains plug on it, and so I'm going to clean this mains lead up because it's pretty soiled, for want of a better way to put it, and chop off the ends here and put on a decent mains plug, so I'll do that next. So leak cleaned, plug put on, giving it a bit of a clean up on the front as well, it's a bit better. Now I'm going to wind this up on the variable power supply of the Variac, which sort of is fairly pointless in some ways. This does have the encapsulated mains filter capacitor, so we haven't got the problems there with the potential sort of pop that you get with the other type, like the Shiba 8600, 9600 users, which absorb moisture and ultimately go bang and make a lot of smoke. So that's good. Yeah, just have a quick look at the deck itself. It actually looks all pretty good. The belts look fairly okay. The pinch roller is terrible, covered in mould. But everything else doesn't look too bad. The idler also looks a bit the worse for wear. But it's nothing we can sort of get sorted. I think I've actually got a few pinch rollers for this model, I think, but we'll see. So let's power it up and see what happens. Okay, so here goes. I will say it takes quite a lot to kill a Sanyo, really, aside from the STK chip. So I'd always expect to get something out of them. So let's apply some power, wind it up. So something's happening because I can hear a relay. And standby, well, standby lights solid on. So I would really be surprised if the STK chip is not the problem here. Oh no, I've got nothing. Oh yeah, no it does. Yeah. So, I suppose we better do some power supply checks and see what's going on. So the new voltage regulator has arrived, the SDK7216. Again, bought from Little Diode. It's actually took a week to arrive, which is fairly unusual. They're usually much quicker than that. I've already gone ahead and taken the power supply out. It's actually quite easy to remove, but I will show reassembly is the same as disassembly. It's reversed. So I'll show that. I got a bit carried away and just took it out. And desoldering's easy enough as well. Just comes off here. This board is actually only held on by the screws that hold the regulator, and there's no heatsink paste on there at all. So I probably will put a smear on the new one just to help with the thermal conductivity. So this is the new one, which, yeah, it certainly does look genuine. You do have to be a bit careful. There are a lot of copies of chips out there that aren't necessarily that good. So Little Diode seem to have genuine, probably new old stock components. So it's really good. So yeah, I'll get that soldered in, and we'll get some silicone thermal grease on there and give it a test. All soldered in, and also put a perfect layer of heatsink compound on there. And I did actually spot as well, this one transistor here, the legs were a little bit dodgy. I wouldn't say dry jointed as such, but they weren't good. And on removing it, I could actually see there was a little bit of corrosion on the heatsink. So I've cleaned all that up. Also put just a very thin layer of heatsink compound on that as well, just to help with the thermal properties of the heatsink, and hopefully that'll be all good. I have just checked all the Xenon diodes as well, just in case, because I know they can cause the problem we were having. But of course, I have done this pretty much blind. I've just made the assumption that the SDK is bad, just because of the way the machine was behaving. So this might be a complete waste of time. But I'm pretty confident, and you know, it's half the fun, isn't it? So sometimes it's nice just to have a guess and see if you're right. So yeah, let's get this back together. So let's get the power supply back in, and we can give it a test. So let's feed the power cord back through. So taking this out, there are 4 screws here, and well, 2 here. You don't need to take this screw out. It's only 3 that you actually need to remove to get this out. And then there's a screw here as well. And that's it. Then connectors. This connector goes onto the board with the STK mounted on it. Then you have 2 connectors here, white to white, yellow to yellow. That's fairly straightforward. If you can get them on. Bit of a fiddle. Now this is hardwired and goes through the cable management here and here. And then goes under here. I believe, maybe not, but that's where I'm doing it. And this actually connects to the front of the machine, which is here. So easy to get out, not quite so easy to put back in. The front actually has 2 clips, pull down clips. So one here, one here. And I should then be able to, with a bit of manoeuvring, possibly pull this through and into there. So probably you don't need to lift that off, to be fair, because you're putting it through this guide here. You probably don't need to lift the board off, but anyway, that's how you do it if you needed to. Cable management, and let's clip that back in, and I managed to get the cable filled. So cable there, push that in, and we're good to go. So that's that. So I suppose we better get these screws put back in. So one at the front, put that in first, I guess. I don't think it really matters, as long as they're all lined up fine. The actually, I'll give that a quick clean. There we go. Magic, so that's back together, nice and quick. I do actually like working on these machines. They're just so simply put together. Makes them a joy to repair, to be fair, in many ways. So yeah, I suppose we ought to power it up. Okay, so here goes nothing. Okay, so let's give it a try. I have already tested it, and I was a bit confused by the results, to be fair, but let's put it on. So we've got power lights now on, and things are working. Fast forward isn't, rewind is, play is. Although for some reason it doesn't want to load. There we go, so that's playing. And eject is working. So yeah, but we've got no clock. And I wonder if one of the possibly high voltage rails is not working properly. So I have voltages, I have AC for the heaters on the display, the VFD, and I actually have minus 21 volts across every single pin of the display, which leads me to believe that possibly this chip has failed. Maybe, but I need to do some checks. I need to do some proper fault finding on that. So I'll do that, but I just thought we've now got a working deck. I have to say, I'm slightly dubious as to whether that SDK was bad. And I may well have jumped to conclusions that the SDK was the cause of all the problems. Very easy to do if you're me, because traditionally SDK chips, you see them, you have a power supply fault, you naturally assume it's going to be an SDK chip. You change them, they're not expensive. It's not necessarily a bad thing to do anyway, because you are introducing reliability, and obviously I've fitted it properly. And I think I'm just trying to justify why I've changed it. Yeah, anyway, I have a feeling that maybe it was okay. But yeah, I've done it now. It's all good. Voltages are good. Everything is working as it should, relatively. Now, bearing in mind, we've still got the original belts on here. We've got the original pinch roller, which is a bit cleaner now. It's not perfect. I mean, it's going to have to be thoroughly cleaned or replaced. I think I might have a replacement for it, so I'll do that if I have. I'm going to try tape and just see what playback's like. That's probably a really good idea considering we've got a clock issue. If the deck's really bad or the heads are poor, then maybe it can become a parts machine. I don't know. But yeah, so let's give it a go. Not a good start. Okay, so like I say, it's not wonderful. Belts wise, but it is winding. This tape is terrible. But at least yeah, you can hear the idlers struggling. But like I say, this tape is quite hard work for a machine at the best of times. So let's press play, see what happens. So that's playing. We've got a picture. It's black and white. We do have a servo issue, although to be fair with the pinch roller, I mean nothing's serviced on the deck yet, so I'm not really too worried about that. Let's try the sound. No sound. Now, I do think one of the at least one of the adjustments has been fiddled with, and I think it's this one. Let's just try it. Yeah, it does feel like that's loose. So I'm just... Oh. The audio head is not actually in the right position. You see that? The tape is off the audio head. Yeah. Okay, so let's press stop. Let's turn that down so we're not deafening ourselves. Maybe I can get a screwdriver behind it just to rock it back. Okay, so that's back where it should be. So this has been fiddled with. That's really loose. I'm just going to get it somewhere near. Just drop the towel until you get the tape in the right place. Okay, so we now have oh dear, it's not sounding good, is it? Oh, has every single one? Okay, the heads have just slowed down. Okay, let's stop that. I'm just going to put the machine onto AVN. Right, so we now have slow heads. Slow head rotation, that's fun. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this cool down and just see if it is a thermal issue. And take it from there, really. I mean, the heads are getting slower and slower and slower. So possibly might have a servo issue. There's the picture. Just wondering. I'll tip this up. So this strip is really, really hot. So let's give it a bit of a zap with freezer spray. No, I don't really know what I'm spraying, to be honest. That's cold now. So that's made no difference. But I'm assuming that's probably the head. I need to check the service manual. I'm assuming that's for the head motor, but it could well be for the capstan. I mean, there's two chips on here. So one could be capstan, one could be heads. It's not made any difference. That's also quite hot. Ooh. Whatever I just did then, got the heads back up to speed. I think I've got a bad joint somewhere. It does seem to be something to do with that cap. Gosh, that's hot. I don't think it's a dry, I think it's a bad cap. Microfarad. I'd be surprised if that's what's doing it. It could be, I suppose. Interesting. So I don't know. So we've got quite a few problems, really. We've got the clock that isn't working. We've got head speed issues, which do seem to vary if I move this cap. Can't see any bad joints. And obviously it needs all the belts done as well. So yeah, still worth doing. Still want to get it going. So yeah, time to do some more work on it, I suppose. So I've done a lot of work on this, and to be honest, there's been quite a lot of head scratching as well. It's really been a very perplexing machine. The head drum started spinning down when playing a tape. It would go slow and then stop. So I ejected the tape, put in my blank cassette, and I've run that for a while. Done several checks, used a scope, everything seems to sort of check out okay, but a few things weren't making sense. Like the trigger signals are there from the head sensor. I did change that cap. It was really weird that moving that would make the head spin up. Cue review, the heads would spin up, go back to play, the heads would stop. And then while I was running it, just doing something else, but I was running it with the blank cassette in there, the head span up. And it's like, oh, okay, great. So did a few checks. Yeah, things looked okay. But now, as you can probably hear, there's no tape loaded in there, but the heads are running, and the heads are running all the time. So yeah, obviously it's not happy. I suspect I have got some sort of logic problem. This is the system control chips board, if you like, dividing line between the system control and the servo side. One thing I noticed is two of these chips have been changed. One is for real motor, the other is for the loading motor, which you can see here. So yeah, and I do still have problems with the clock, even though the voltages mainly seem to check out okay. This clock chip is not working at all, really. I can see the heaters are lit up. You can see a very dull glow. So I know that side of it's fine. All the voltages are fine across here, although I will say there seems to be 21 volts solidly across them. It does if you like, a progressive scan of the each segment, and that seems to be solid. So I don't know. I mean, there seems to be clock. Or the crystal seems to be working, giving a frequency that I'd expect. So that's okay. But I don't know. There's so much wrong with this machine. I do wonder if potentially this might have been a victim of a lightning strike. There's too much wrong with this to be just like wear and tear. It's just a really odd machine, and it's such a shame because I was really looking forward to getting this going, to be fair. So, with a very heavy heart, I think I'm going to be scrapping this, using it for parts. I can't, even if I got it working, I wouldn't be completely happy that this is going to be reliable. And that's what it's all about. You need a reliable machine, especially in this day and age where there's so few people that can actually fix them. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's it. And, yeah, just a shame it can't be resurrected. These machines are actually quite rare. You don't see them very often on eBay. Sorry, it was a bit of a sad one, really, isn't it? Having to scrap a machine. Got another Sanyo coming up next week, and all sorts of interesting machines coming up. Got a US machine coming up shortly as well. Next couple of weeks or few weeks, and yeah, so please like and subscribe, and see you in another video. Bye for now.